BEGE 141 Summary of Shooting an Elephant by George Orwell. Shooting an Elephant is an essay by George Orwell that describes a difficult day in his life as British officer in Burma, a colony under British rule. The essay not only tells the story of one incident with an elephant but also reveals the deep inner conflict and moral dilemmas that come with being part of an oppressive empire. At the beginning of the essay, Orwell explains that in the town of Amolmain in Lower Burma, he was hated by many people simply because he was a representative of the British Empire. The local, full of anti European feelings, often insulted and mocked him. He recalls how even a small act like a young man tripping him during a football game would be met with a cruel laughter. This constant hostility made Orwell feel like he was an easy target for the anger of the Burmese people. Despite these negative feelings, he was stuck in his job and had to continue serving in a role that he deeply resented. One day, early in the morning, Orwell received a call from the local sub inspector informing him that an elephant was causing trouble in the bazaar. The elephant was not completely wild, it was a tame animal that had gone into a state of uncontrollable behavior known as must. Normally, elephants were kept under control by their mahouts, which is called handler, but the elephant had broken its chain and was now roaming free, causing damage and fear among the people. It had already destroyed a bamboo hut, killed a cow, and even overturned a municipal rubbish van. The local Burmese were helpless against the animal, and so they hoped that the British officer would take decisive action. Despite not knowing exactly what to do, Orwell decided to see the situation for himself. He climbed onto a pony, took his small rifle, a 44 Winchester, that he knew was not really meant to kill an elephant, and set out to the scene. On his way, he talked to several local people who explained the elephant's recent action. When he reached the area, he found the elephant standing about 80 yards from the road, calmly eating grass. At that moment, Orwell realized that the animal was not dangerous and that its violent behavior had already passed. He felt that shooting the elephant would be unnecessary, even cruel, because it was a walking animal like a valuable piece of a machinery. However, as Orwell looked around, he noticed a huge crowd of Burmese people had gathered. They had come to watch him, expecting him to shoot the elephant. Their faces, full of anticipation, reminded him that as a colonial officer he was always expected to act decisively to show strength. The pressure from the crowd was immense. Even though he personally did not want to kill the elephant, he felt that if he did not act, he would lose face and appear weak in front of the local people. The public expectation weighted heavily on him, forcing him to make a decision against his own will. With the crowd watching, Orwell resolved to shoot the elephant. He positioned himself and began firing. The first shot hit the elephant, and although it did not bring the animal down immediately, the shot clearly wounded it. The elephant's behavior changed. Suddenly, it looked old, shrunken, and in obvious pain. The slow and agonizing process of the elephant's death was a visual mirror to Orwell's own inner torment. He fired more shots, each one adding to the elephant's suffering, until finally, after several rounds, the elephant collapsed. Its death was drawn out, painful, and marked by deep suffering. The crowd cheered as the elephant fell, but for Orwell, each shot felt like a betrayal of his moral belief. After the shooting, Orwell was left all alone with the overwhelming realization of what he had been forced to do. The entire experience made him see the true nature of imperialism. It was not just about ruling over people but also about the way it corrupted the human soul. He felt that by succumbing to the expectation of the crowd and carrying out an act he found morally repulsive, he had lost a part of his own freedom. In that moment, he understood that the authority of the British Empire was built on a foundation of a coercion, that even those who were supposed to be in control were merely puppets controlled by the will of the people they oppressed. Our reflection after the incident show his deep regret and the heavy burden of responsibility he carried. He was forced into a role where he had performed as a strong, decisive officer. Even if it meant acting against his own conscience, his inner conflict and sorrow were palpable, and the memory of that day stayed with him as a painful reminder of the cruelty and futility of a colonial rule. In simple words, shooting an elephant is about a man who is trapped between his own feeling and the expectation of the society that force him to act in a way why he does not want to. The essay is not only about the act of shooting an elephant but also about the cost of power and the damaging effect of the imperialism on both the oppressor and the oppressed. Through this incident, authors show that even those in power can be powerless when forced to live up to an image that does not match their true self. Here are some important questions related to the essay. First, what impression do you form about the Burmese from the essay Shooting an Elephant? Here is the answer. I'm not gonna read it, I will just upload the PDF, then you can check it. Number two, Orwell's views on imperialism are clearly seen in this essay Shooting an Elephant. Here's the answer. Because these three questions are very important, and they also come in the previous year question of the IGNOU BEGE 141. And third one is discuss with example, describe how the natives, the English, and the Orwell himself reacted to the shooting of the elephant. The natives and the English people and Orwell himself. Here's the all the answers.